Most people make their biggest plans when they're the most excited. And that's when the idea feels clear, the timeline feels reasonable, and everything sounds possible. But that's also when plans are the least accurate. Because motivation doesn't just make you want to start, it makes you underestimate how much work you're actually signing up for. Motivation doesn't just make you want to start a project, it changes how the project looks to you. When you're motivated, the outcome feels clear, the step feels obvious, and the hardest parts feel smaller than they actually are. You don't consciously think, this won't take long. You just plan as if your future you will have the same energy, the same clarity, and the same patience that you have now. That's the problem. Motivation is an emotional state, but planning is a prediction about time, effort, and complexity. And those two don't line up very well. When you're motivated, your brain starts compressing the project. Time feels shorter than it is, effort feels lighter than it will be, and complexity feels manageable because you're not inside it yet. You don't think in months, you think in sessions. And you don't see the boring parts, you only see the version of the work that feels interesting right now. That is why plans made while excited will always sound reasonable. You're not planning for the work as it actually exists. You're planning for the idea of the work filtered through a high energy moment. Motivation doesn't lie about whether something is worth doing. It lies about how long it will take and what it will cost you along the way. The mistake most people make isn't starting projects while motivated. It's planning as if that motivated version of themselves is gonna stick around. When you plan in a high energy moment, you assume your future you will have the exact same excitement, the same focus, and the same tolerance for friction. But that version of you is temporary. And the motivation fades, which it always does. The plan doesn't fade with it, it just becomes heavier. This is why excitement is so powerful. It's the same reason that marketing and sales try to get you excited before asking for a commitment. Because excited people say yes to things that their future selves will have to pay for. Planning while motivated works the same way, and that's why so many projects feel fine on day one and oppressive by week 3. The plan was built for a version of you that doesn't exist anymore. Motivation is a terrible planning tool because it makes unrealistic plans feel responsible. So if motivation is unreliable as a planning tool, the fix isn't to wait until you feel unmotivated to start. It's to stop planning around your best days. Most plans fail because they're built for peak energy. The day you feel excited, focused, and convinced that this time will be different. But real progress doesn't happen on peak days. It happens on normal ones. Days where you're tired, days where you're distracted, days where the work feels heavier than expected. Planning works when you design the project so it still moves forward, even when motivation is low. Not because you're forcing yourself, but because the plan never assumed excitement in the first place. A good plan isn't one you execute when you feel great. It's one you survive when you don't. Motivation isn't useless, it's just misunderstood. Motivation is great for telling you what you're interested in. It's a signal, not a schedule, not a timeline, and definitely not a plan. The mistake is treating that excitement like evidence, that something will be easy and fast, or sustainable. And that's how projects get overscoped before they even start. If you want to plan better, don't ask how much you can do when you feel excited. Ask what the project looks like when you're tired, distracted, and doing this after a long day. Motivation can tell you what's worth starting, but only realism decides what actually gets finished.